Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions. I'm Manisha Gupta. The government has announced 7 schemes with an outlay of 14,000 crores to boost India's agriculture sector and benefit Indian farmers. Of this 14,000 crores, nearly 4,000 crores have been allocated towards crop science for food and nutritional security. With a focus on digitizing the agri-economy, the government will spend 2,800 crore rupees for Digital Agriculture Mission to use technology for improving farmers' lives. Then about 2,300 crores will be spent for strengthening agricultural education, management and social sciences. A further about 1,700 crores has been allocated towards sustainable livestock health and production. 1,200 crores out of this will be spent on strengthening Krishi Vigyan Kendras, and 1,110 crores has been sanctioned for national resource management. 860 crores will be spent for sustainability development of horticulture. So that's a quick breakup of the total outlay of 14,000 crores spread across 7 different schemes. Well, the markets are looking at various upheaval in sense of agriculture. A lot was discussed in the budget as well. And finally, we do have these fund allocations. To discuss each scheme in detail and how it will benefit the agri sector, we are now joined by Dr. M.J. Khan, President at India Chamber of Food and Agriculture. Also joining us is Mr. Ashok Dalwai. He is CEO of National Rain-Fed Area Authority within the Agriculture Ministry. Mr. Dalwai, I'll start with you. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, a lot needs to be done for agriculture. There have been various statements, schemes, etc. made as well. This final cabinet approval for 7 schemes and fund allocation, your first reaction on this, and then of course we'll delve deeper into this.
Thank you very much, and I must say that this is a next step, a positive step in reorienting India's agriculture system. As you know, we have been always focusing on crop science for a long time, and it's only in the last about 2 decades that we have realized the importance of diversifying agriculture from the perspective of the nutrition for the consumers, from the perspective of the farmers who need to divide their risks, and thirdly, most importantly, from the perspective of ecology, so that there is ecological sustainability. So looking at these 3 things, the 7 schemes that incorporate crop science, that incorporate horticulture, livestock, animal husbandry, fisheries, will pave the way for diversification and creating a robust system, a robust platform, so that all the 3 stakeholders, the farmers from the perspective of economy, the consumers from the perspective of nutrition security, and the ecology from the perspective of sustainability will start to benefit. And what is also very impressive about this particular initiative is that apart from the research and development and projects and programs, there's also focus on capacity building and transfer of technology. When we talk about KVKs and we talk about the extension system, what primarily it means is that we're trying to link the labs and the land, and that's where it is important the return on investment that the government makes through the public sector on research, on projects and programs actually enhances. And I think this ecosystem approach is what is laudable, and this is what is required.
Mr. Dalwai, I'll take the first point here, and I get your point. Well, yes, it is about diversification, ecology and consumer nutrition, and we've been talking about that for some time now. But within that notification that came in from the government, there also is a mention of agri-tech. Where do you think the government is, or the country is when it comes to that? And then there are things about village land map registry, crop zone registry, farmers registry itself. While a lot has been done within this as well, how long before we do see this platform actually being the means and source where the work gets done?
I think you have raised a very valid issue. When the Digital Agriculture Mission was announced yesterday with the approval of the cabinet, it is not just a beginning. In fact, it is backed by 3 years of hard work. It is since 3 years or more than 3 years that we have been working on building a digital public infrastructure. Digital public infrastructure in relation to agriculture would be an equivalent of other DPIs. For example, Aadhaar, which is very old in India by now, and then the UPI, the Unified Payment Interface. Just as these two DPIs have brought about transformation in the delivery of services, DPI agriculture is going to bring about a transformational change in the life of agriculturists as well as the consumers. Now, why do I say that? AgriStack, which is the cornerstone of DPI, is actually built on three foundational pillars. One of them is the farmer's registry. Second one is the crop survey registry. And the third one is the geo-referenced village maps. Now, these three are extremely important. Just as we took care in case of Aadhaar, when the farmer's registry is being built, we will be now collecting minimal demographic data of the individual farmer and the family. And second, more importantly, the land records would also be brought in. So when you mean registry, it is an authenticated data, and that's the distinction between a database and a registry. Now, the farmers registry would help us to target the farmers. As you know, we have nearly 110 to 120 million farmers in this country spread across the nooks and corners. And the second one, the crop survey is an extremely important pillar. So far, the crop survey is based on what is called a eye estimation conducted by the revenue departments of the state government. But now a crop survey based on a digitized crop survey application, which is going to give us a more accurate data on the land details and the crop-wise coverage for different seasons of the year. The third one, geo-referenced village maps, will be actually leveraging the geo information system and then linking that with the physical location of the land as well as the physical location of the different resources. So with this basic pillars and a common platform data, it will then pave way for what is called a digital support system. So far, DSS is very much popular in industry and service sectors. But for the first time, we'll be now coming to play the role of a digital support system because these three pillars will be creating a platform where data relating to soils, water, land, fertilizer, input management, output management, all kinds of data can be superimposed on this data. So that will help us through analytics, data analytics, and also deployment of artificial intelligence, etc., to have a digital support system. And then, of course, important related to this is soil survey. As you know, that we have been all talking about the ecological degradation relating to soil and water. So soil survey maps are also integral to this. We have 141 million hectares of land. We have had soil health cards, for example, and there has been detailed soil profiling in states like Karnataka over the last 5 years. So now what we are going to do is to have a soil profile for the entire 141 million hectares. By now, 29 million hectares of soil profiling has been done. Since I'm taking a lot of time, let me close up by saying that it is not a woolly idea. As I said, it is backed by 3 to 5 years of survey, and by now, we already have 29 million hectares of soil profiling. We have done pilot testing in 6 states to generate farmers' IDs because we want farmers' registry, we need farmers' identification number, just like Aadhaar. So piloting has been done in 6 states, and also piloting has been done for the crop for the production survey. Because that is another important thing. We don't have accurate data on the output. Today is all based on eye estimates and rough guesstimates. Whereas today, using the remote sensing and also the crop survey data that we will have, it will be possible for us to undertake scientifically designed crop cutting experiments and then say that this could be the output crop-wise across the agriculture subsectors. So there are multiple benefits that will come from accuracy of data because that will help us to plan for MSP procurement, help us for imports and exports, help us for buffer stock management, inflation management. You think of anything, I think actually you are stepping into a domain where accuracy of data using the digital technology as well as remote sensing technology, certainly we can agree that it is an extremely progressive step that has been long waited, and it will pave way for a more efficient agriculture management.
Fair point that I get your point, Mr. Dalwai, that a lot of work has been done and there is a vision that all of this would be carried ahead as well. Just one more point, and that I see in the notification itself is, and while of course, as you mentioned, a lot of crops and soil health itself is being talked about, but two commodities which are mentioned here, one is of course pulses and other oil seeds. I was also looking at a 10-year data that was released yesterday, which does show us that these are a couple of sectors that in last 10 years have seen land shrinkage in sense of sowing. What is your sense? And we have strong import dependency on both of these as well. What do you think is being done, for this?
Yeah, this has been one of the anomalies of our green revolution, that since we're driven around wheat and paddy in the irrigated belts, and because the intercrop comparisons were not actually favoring other crops like pulses and oil seeds, we have had a setback. But then since 2014, there has been a focus on pulse production. And since 2017-18, oilseed also has come into the umbra of our thinking. So now pulse production, for example, which hit the rock bottom of 16.6 million tons in the year 2016-17, was addressed. And now by 2023-24, we have reached a high of 28 million tons. And this is not enough for us. We still do import a small quantum of pulses. But there is a vision, there is a strategy, and there is a proper plan drawn up to increase the pulse production in India. Now, pulse production has been targeted based on productivity increases, area increases, and most importantly, the post-harvest management through MSP-based procurement, and of course, processing. It's not true that the area under pulses are shrunk. In fact, thanks to the strategy, the post-Kharif harvested area, which was lying fallow, particularly in the central India, including Odisha, we have brought in additional 0.5 million hectares under pulses. But I would agree with you that oilseeds still requires a lot of attention. We are too much dependent on imports. And then oilseeds, we not only need more area, but we need to increase the productivity. But happy to tell you that over the last 4 years, the productivity has marginally improved in the oil seeds. The soybean, rapeseed, mustard, and groundnut, which are the three important seasonal oil seeds. We also now need to focus alongside on sunflower so that we will be able to increase the total output and reduce the dependence on import of crude oil. Like today, we produce around 31 million tons of oil seeds, but we need to increase it to at least 45 million tons.
Yes.
And then simultaneously, the processing capacity has to improve. The processing is as important as increasing the productivity-led production.
Oh, yes.
Because not only for consumption, but also industrial oil is equally important for our country.
All stakeholders.
And as you're aware, we also have a mission on palm oil,
yes,
which has a gestation period, and that will also supplement to a great extent the seasonal oil seeds-based production.
Absolutely. Mr. Dalwai, thank you so much for joining us and talking very in detail on all the steps that the government has been taking, and of course backing it with the fact that last 3 and 5 years a lot of hard work has been done on this as well. And finally, since we have those allocations and approval from the cabinet, the hope is that we will only see the growth and much stronger from here on. Thank you so much for joining us. But with that, we'll have to go for a very short break as well. When we come back, we'll of course talk about various whole host of things with Mr. M.J. Khan, President at India Chamber of Food and Agriculture, on the other side of this break. Welcome back, and joining us now is Mr. M.J. Khan. Mr. Khan, thank you so much for joining us. And we were having a long, strong chat with Mr. Dalwai as well on the latest 7 schemes that have been cleared by the government. Within that as well, there's a lot of conversation, of course, about natural farming, dairy and fisheries as well. I would want to start with natural farming first. And this is something that we've been talking about for many budgets now. Finally, with this fund allocation and the kind of work that is being done onto this, what is your sense? I also was talking to some tea producers, and the way that they are also going into natural farming, the yield hasn't been so great for them. What are the challenges that you see into this one?
See, this natural farming concept has been, pioneered, piloted, and aggressively pursued by 2 persons. One, Mr. Parlekar from Maharashtra, And currently, the thrust is being given and all the influencing being done by the governor of Gujarat, Mr. Devrat. He claims that at his farm in Haryana, he has been able to increase the yields by 20-25% while reducing the costs have improved by almost 100%. But this has not been done on a wide basis experimentation by the ICR. So ICR has been mandated last year to carry out the experiments at their KVKs and their institutes. Results are yet to come. But ideologically, this government is wedded to the ideology, the concept of natural farming. And there's a very strong proponent within the party. There's a lobby that is working on this. But broadly putting it like this, that we need to definitely reduce the load of chemicals on the crop. There is no doubt about it. Whether we are looking at the export market for organic products or we are looking at the domestic market. But the idea is that the load of chemicals has to be reduced on the crops, and therefore, whether the concept of eco-agriculture, whether the concept of organic agriculture, or more stringent concept of natural farming, where you don't have to apply anything but using some agronomical practices and some cultural methods, you need to improve the yield. So there is no doubt about it.
Okay.
Once we agree to this, that we need safer food, but we also need, more importantly, the food security.
Yes.
And we are also looking at the export market for the safer food that is organic. So this allocation will definitely accelerate, number one, the research in this direction, and number two, upscaling the experiment that already been done at individual levels. There are a lot of people, because we hosted 3 years back the roundtable on natural farming. So there are a lot of farmers who came from different parts of the country claiming that they could get a lot of extra yields using natural farming practices. But ICR is yet to validate it. So this fund, which is primarily to be allocated to the ICR institutes to carry on the research work and also to the KVKs for extension work, I hope some good results come, and whatever results the people are claiming at their farms must be upscaled, standardized, and popularized.
Sure. Mr. Khan, the other thing is, and another point is, and this is number 4 on the notification that talks about sustainable development of horticulture to increase farmers' income from horticulture plants. And of course, there's a whole list there from vegetables to floriculture, mushroom plantation, spices, medicinal, etc. When it comes to horticulture, I do understand a lot of work is being done here as well. There's an 1130 crore rupees of an allocation onto this one as well. What's your sense on what really needs to be done within this sector?
See, Manisha, horticulture is a great opportunity area because about 8.5% of the area under horticulture, it contributes more than 50% of the exports. It contributes almost 40% to the revenues of the farmers. A lot of employment possibility, a lot of entrepreneurship opportunity, a lot of export opportunities, and the nutrition security, the concept of healthy diet and nutritious diet without horticulture, without fruits and vegetables, it is not possible. So, whether it is processing of agro produce, the horticulture leads the pack. So therefore, for long we needed heavy investment in the horticulture sector to ensure the nutrition security, because we are food secure for almost 3 decades. Now we needed nutrition security. We also need to increase our exports. We also need more income from the farming, and horticulture definitely promises much more return. So therefore, sustainability is a key issue, because today, the climate change and its worst effect is going to be horticulture crops, because fruits and vegetables are more sensitive than the field crops. So therefore, sustainability of the horticulture production system to ensure nutrition security, more foreign exchange earnings, more income to the Indian farmers, and from per unit land, much more profit than what from the field crops we can get. So this is a welcome step, definitely welcome step.
Absolutely.
And let me also add that 5 years back, horticulture production overtook the crop production. Less than 10% of the land, and the horticulture production is about 400 million ton against some 330 or 335 million tons of the food grains production. So this is the contribution of horticulture, which needs to be augmented, more allocations and more trust.
Absolutely. Mr. Khan, I also want to talk about on the overall private sector inclusion into this. While, of course, we've seen government lay out these 7 schemes now, and a lot of work is being done onto this. We also know that in last many years, we've seen a lot of agri-techs and agri-startups come into the system as well. How do you see both of these, coming together and ensuring the growth going forward?
I think private sector has some role to play in all these 7 schemes that have been announced. In varying degrees. Maximum role it has in the digital agriculture mission, because as Dr. Dalwai, I was listening to administer government schemes, to better management of farm practices, to delivering the programs of the government, to subsidy scheme, payment transfers, and many things. But most important, what the ways I've also mentioned in details, was about data management. Because a few years back, there was a meeting in the Niti Aayog. There was different data that are being presented for what is actually the production of vegetables. So, member of Planning Commission had to say that if the yields are 130, we need a different plan. If yields are 170, we need a different plan. So therefore, the data accuracy and more importantly, the open data sharing, this is a concept in Western world, that the data in the public system, which is accessible to everyone for decision making, for project planning, for strategy making, I think this has been lacking in the farm sector. And secondly, important is that the accounting system in farming has not yet entered. So this is one very important area that farmers need to be given the understanding of how they do the accounting, and the pillar of that is that accuracy of the data. And lastly, Manisha ji, the most important part, in addition to many benefits that the ways are mentioned and we all know, the use of digital infrastructure is very important for precision agriculture. Without precision agriculture, we will not be able to compete at the global marketplace, because we need to improve the quality, we need to improve the cost competitiveness also. And that is possible only by digitally enabling the farmers. And therefore, the precision agriculture, the key central component of that has got to be the digital technologies. And hence this allocation, which may encourage private sector to more aggressively involve in the agriculture system, both in the production side, importantly the post-production side, and most importantly the processing, agribusiness and trade side.
Oh, well, absolutely. I get that last point very, very strongly, Dr. Khan, that not just the quality, but quality at cost efficiency and with competitiveness is something that would need to be done. Thank you so much for joining us, talking to us about natural farming, horticulture, and of course, talking about acute and precision farming as well. Well, with this, it's wrap on this edition of Commodity Champions, but don't go anywhere because the news continues on the other side of this break.